In this episode of Food Service Worker, it is March 10th, 2024, 11:23 p.m., almost midnight. So, this episode, we're going to talk about some of the ways that inmates try to sneak stuff out of the kitchen. And there's going to have to be more than this episode covering that. So this will probably be part one, because they're genius ways that these inmates figure ways of trying to get stuff out of the kitchen. So I figure I'll start off by what's freshly on mind right now. So I've seen inmates actually, most common ways is try to hide it in their uniforms. Some are on their uniforms, whether they try to put it in their waistband if they have a two-part uniform like the prisoners do. They normally have a blue uniform. In counties, they normally have like a jumpsuit. So I will say, based on inmates who have come to me and have told me stuff on how other inmates have been able to sneak stuff out of the kitchen before, which was quite genius. Which was, like, in the county, these inmates would get a jumpsuit. It's one uniform they wear in the kitchen, and they would try, what they would do is, at least where I was, and this is different for every county and all that stuff, so they may not have that type of thing, obviously. So anyways, these guys would, for my shift at least, the PM shift, these guys that I would have would basically get new uniforms every day that they ended their shift, rather than going back to the dorm with a dirty, wet uniform. They were able to stop by on their way and get a new jumpsuit, and before they go to the area to get body scanned to make sure they don't have any contraband on them, these guys would ironically hide stuff in the new jumpsuit, because they would get it from the laundry room, and then whatever they had on them, they would try to sneak it into their new jumpsuit. And then when they go down to get body scanned, they would have it in their new uniform, and it wouldn't be on them. And what they would do is these guys would either put their new uniform on the ground or hand it off to their buddy to hold it, and then go through the body scanner, come out clean and all that stuff. And with that being said, they would never find the stuff they were taking from the kitchen. Another thing that they were doing is they would hide it in stuff out in an area where they could pick it back up when the CO wasn't looking. So in the area that they have to go through, the inmate processing area, they sometimes had these like laundry carts. They were like a cart you sometimes may see maybe in a hotel room that they pick up the laundry in. It's like a cart and all that stuff. Well, anyways, that cart would have maybe some stuff in it or something like that. And as they would come in, they might put it in there and then go in and get body scanned. And then when they come back through, they go into this little area, if they can, that has that little cart there. And they would take it out, put it in their new jumpsuit. And then the COs would never know that it was in there. Sometimes it was out in the hallway of the inmate processing area where it had the body scanner and all that stuff, and they would put it in there. There was like aspirators that were on the walls that they would leave it inside that box and stuff too, or in that cart, and they would pick it up when the CO wasn't looking and stuff. So that's just like crazy ways that they would do it in the county. I don't know how well hiding it inside their shoe really works, but that's not out of the realm of possibilities. But I know that they were doing like pass offs and stuff like that, where they would try to figure out who was going to go through the body scanner first, and then whoever went through the body scanner tried to pass off whatever they had to the person that went first, and kept it going that way. That way, whoever had it got the try to get it back to the dorm. And there were many successful days that was something that happened, because I had inmates that were informing me of stuff that was taken back, and how much stuff was taken back. So anyways, that being said, in Department of Corrections though, I've seen probably one of the craziest things was most recently was seeing 2 inmates taking saran wrap. And this is a big guy too, a big fat guy too, white guy, about as fat as I am, back in the dish area, room area where they clean the trays and stuff. Yeah, I apologize. I'm recovering from a sinus infection. If you work in these facilities, you're bound to get sick. I'm just telling you now. So I'm kind of getting over mine right now. I sound like somebody who smokes cigarettes or gets a little blazed, but I don't do any of that stuff though. Wink wink, or whatever you want to go with. But anyways, I don't do any of that stuff. These guys were back there in the process of wrapping saran wrap around the one guy who had like sandwiches on his side. And I literally turned and looked at these guys and was like, what the are you guys doing? You know, I was like dumbfounded seeing this. I'm thinking to myself, this is ironically, can't say the word though. But anyways, told the guys, you guys gotta take that stuff off. You won't go to jail. I'll be a good guy and not have y'all arrested for doing this stuff. And you listen to the sob stories, I get it. I'm very I get where they're coming from. I'm not dumb. I know these guys, you know, have maybe no money. Nobody gives them money on the outside, so they're just trying to get some food. Maybe they got a debt. I get that. I'm not a dummy. However, I don't turn a blind eye to that. When you involve me in something, and especially when it's something that I had a reason as to why I was going back to that area to begin with, and to fill you in. Unfortunately, my kitchen freezer, my kitchen butcher freezer door, those doors are supposed to be secured, and they were not secured. So I don't know how much stuff the inmates stole out of there. So when I found out, I went on a mission, and I was going to try to find anything that they stole from those rooms and take it. When you get caught in the crossfire, I didn't really care about them 2 guys. I was just mad. Okay, I had stuff that possibly was stolen, and now I'm taking it out on them. So they felt the wrath of it. I probably wouldn't have cared, to be honest, but hey, took their stuff away from them, and you know, they were kind of upset with me about that, but they should be lucky that they didn't end up in confinement. Because I'm a good guy. That's why. I could have threw their food away too, that they were planning on taking back, or the one guy was planning on taking back. But anyways, though, going past that, if you want to know more about that story, if I can, there's not much more to tell on that whole thing. But I could always try to remember. But like I said, the common ways is they try to put it in a waistband. I saw one guy who, ironically, had it in his waistband, and the duty warden caught him. And talking about looking dumb, man, when a duty warden, especially when they've been watching you on camera, like, you ever played Are You Smarter Than an Inmate? Sometimes it's a fun game, because it seems like the inmates lose a lot in that game. Especially when they're watching these guys and watching you as a food service worker, because they watch me too. And they watch what they do, and they already know who has what, and they've been watching for an hour before they get ready to leave. Who's taking what? So anyway, that being said, yeah, those are my current things on my mind that I could say that were ways that inmates take stuff out of the kitchen. Other than, I will add too, food carts. Food carts are a popular way, whether it's in the juice jugs that they have that go in the food carts or in a separate food cart, or whether it's in other trays that when you're not paying attention, you turn your back because they use a distraction to make you look away. They may put a tray in there that has something special on it. Maybe food, maybe drugs, maybe anything you don't know. Maybe extra cake or something like that. They even are clever enough to try to put stuff underneath the food carts. Those were things that were common in the county that I had discovered, and it's also something that was brought to my attention in Department of Correction by a inmate as well. An inmate was telling me about how certain inmates are hiding stuff under the food carts now. So, kind of surprised that the DOC people haven't started taking their little mirrors to look up underneath the food carts to make sure there's nothing underneath it before they take it out of the kitchen, which is kind of funny because in the county, unfortunately, the company I worked for, we were actually on the radar that people in there thought one of us was bringing inmates fentanyl or something like that. So they were under that suspicion. They didn't know which one of them it was, but it wasn't me because I don't have a drug dealer. Wouldn't even know where to find any drugs if I was paid to try. Maybe the police station would know where I could find some because they probably have a lot that they've confiscated. But yeah, I haven't had any use for needing drugs. So other than the dispensary, it'd probably be the only place that I would know of. But either way, I don't have any use for that BS stuff, so I'll leave it at that. That's it for this episode, though. Tune in for another lovely waste of your life episode of a food service worker, and maybe it'll be more entertaining than this one. I'm just tired, dude, so kind of like a downy right now, kind of like down, beat up, and exhausted. So, signing off, Dougie. Yeah, I can't even hit the stop button. I'll give you one more cough before I end the video. That was a good one, I think. That was about 3 out of 10.